Today I'm going to be showing you how to make homemade mac and cheese. And I don't make it that often because it is fattening, but today I'm going to be using gluten-free pasta. And this is not the first time that I've used gluten-free pasta in my mac and cheese, but it does taste very similar to regular mac and cheese. And you know, if you have a gluten intolerance or allergy, then you can definitely substitute gluten-free pasta for your regular pasta. So the cheeses I'm going to be using for this particular recipe, I usually change my recipe to cater to what kind of cheeses I already have in my fridge. But today I only had this raw milk white cheddar, so I went to Trader Joe's and I had to get a couple more types of cheeses because I like plenty of cheese in my mac and cheese. So I have the raw milk white cheddar, and then I have the Trader Joe's brand cheddar and Gruyere. Okay, and then I went ahead and sprung for this Belle Toile triple cream brie. So instead of using cream cheese, I'm going to be using triple cream brie. Let's hope that this tastes good because this is not my usual selection of cheeses. But I mean, how can you go wrong with brie and cheddar and Gruyere? And to make it even more special, I will be using this parmesan cheese. So this is, that's why it was in that bag. Been using this a lot lately, but this is just domestic artisan style Parmesan cheese. It says it's from Cello. There you go, 4 kinds of cheeses. I'm going to start grating up these 3, and then I probably won't be using this whole thing. I've gone ahead and grated all my cheese that I needed. I grated about maybe 2 cups or 3 cups total of the 2 cheddars that I had, and then I grated maybe half a cup. This is a fluffy cup, or half a cup, fluffy half cup of the Parmesan cheese, and then I still have my Belle Toile out of the fridge, and it's just to make it soft, you know. And really the only thing that's going to flavor this mac and cheese is the cheeses and this bacon. This is uncured bacon, and then for the creaminess I'll be using this Humboldt Creamery organic heavy whipping cream. And if I need to make it a little less thick, then I'll just add a bit more water. But I will be using a little bit of gluten-free flour to thicken the initial sauce before I add this heavy whipping cream. So let's get started on making the sauce, and then we'll put it all together. I've put in my bacon and a tablespoon of unsalted butter. That's just to help get some grease in there so that when I add the flour will cook. So I'm just going to let that butter melt, and then I will add the flour. Now I've added my Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour. Added about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to cook the flour for about 1 to 2 minutes, stirring it so that it doesn't burn. This is kind of like making a roux. I also added some black pepper. I've gone ahead and added 8 to 9 ounces of water, and so now it's kind of thick yet creamy. Try to get all the lumps out, and then just add the heavy whipping cream at this point. And then I also have another 8 ounces of water just on standby in case it gets too thick. I added about 1 to 2 cups of the heavy whipping cream. I think I probably used 3/4 of the package. And then I added the 8 ounces of water again that I had on reserve, and this is about how thin it is right now. I'm just waiting for it to boil, and then I'll add the cheeses. Now after the cheeses, if it's still too thick, I'll just add a little bit more water, a little bit at a time to get to the right consistency. I've also added about a teaspoon of sea salt and a pinch of cayenne pepper. Now, you can add any other flavorings you want, but for my mac and cheese, I usually just let the cheese and the bacon do the talking. So I'll just wait for this to boil, and then once it's boiling, that's when we'll come back and add the cheese. Okay, time to start adding our cheeses. So add a little bit of the cheese at a time. Make sure that you reserve some of the cheese, maybe about a cup, so you can spread it around the top of the mac and cheese, and then it'll develop that crispy crust. I've added all my cheeses. I did reserve about a cup or so, and I also did not forget to add my Belle Toile triple cream brie. As you can see, I added about half of it, and I took off the rind, but it's gotten to this consistency, kind of thick, kind of like cream of mushroom thickness, and you can still see there's chunks of that brie in there that I'm waiting for it to melt. But once it's melted, I'm going to taste for salt and pepper, and then I'm going to turn it off. And that is how you make cheese sauce. So I have my macaroni in my casserole dish. I did not butter it or anything. This is saucy enough. And now I'm just pouring it. Pouring this in. Looks kind of like not thick enough, the sauce, but trust me, when it bakes, it's gonna get a little thicker. Okay, so I'll go ahead, add the rest of that. Make sure kind of mix it all in, that everybody is drowning in the sauce. And once you have everybody completely under cover, then you can go ahead and add the rest of that cheese that we reserved. Get the edges, because that's where it's gonna crisp up. Sometimes I make my own breadcrumbs and I put it on the top, but today I won't be doing that. So I'll just put this and then. So this is what the mac and cheese looks like when it's done. Cooked it for about 20 minutes at 425 degrees on the lower rack. It just got a little bit browned on the top. Time to taste the mac and cheese.